Okay, listen up. There has been an egregious crime being committed by the BookTube community. For the past several years, as far back as I can remember since I've started watching BookTube, there is a single science fiction book that has been overlooked by virtually everyone. It doesn't make it into sci-fi top 10 lists, it doesn't make it into TBRs, and it doesn't make it into the general discussions. I'm not sure why, but this book has gone completely overlooked. I've seen countless videos about Paulini's In a Sea of Stars, I've seen tons of videos about Dune, but this one specific military sci-fi book I have not seen a single YouTube review reviewing it, at least one that I didn't purposefully search for. And this book that I'm talking about that I would personally recommend and put as one of the best sci-fi books I've ever read is Halo: The Fall of Reach. So, since I think this book has been overlooked by most people, I figured I'd do a video where I talk about all the reasons why I love it and why I think it deserves a lot more discussion regarding it. So, first thing I want to mention is it is a tie-in to the Halo video games, and typically, book tie-ins to games and movies aren't that great. That's just, they're known for not being, they're just basically usually a Cliff Notes version of the property they were based on, and they're never written as good. Not this one. This one is not just a copy and paste of the game. It is an origin story for the Spartans, and it takes place before the first Halo game. Let's get into it.
Return to Infinity immediately. Negative Infinity. I don't like it.
So the first thing I want to talk about is the characters. The way the Spartans are handled in this book is really, really impressive. I wasn't expecting them to be handled in the way they are. I thought it was going to be more of generic super soldiers, because that's what the games are. The games are your Master Chief, kill a bunch of aliens. This really goes into their backstory and what the Spartan training would do to someone and how the different Spartans react differently. And the way it handles the main four, John, Kelly, Linda, and not Sam was the other guy, and Fred. Yeah, there's a Spartan named Fred. The way it handles their group dynamic with Fireteam Blue and just the way their story progresses as it goes on is really just incredible, and I really like the glimpses into the origins that this book gave. Also, I think the way Dr. Halsey was used in this book was really, really good because it gives you a sense of why she's doing what she's doing, but it also doesn't necessarily justify all the decisions that was made. So the second thing I want to talk about is the villains.
Truth! The voice of the Covenant!
Asshole. You must be silenced.
So, in the first couple Halo games, typically, the Flood was the main antagonist. The Covenant would start as the bad guys, but then usually somewhere around halfway through the story, the Flood would take over, and then the Flood would become the main villains. And then the new series of Halo games, the Forerunners have kind of taken over their place as the big bads. But this book, along with Halo Reach, but this book specifically, I think really made the Covenant feel like a worthy threat and really made them menacing. The sections in this book that deal with elites, brutes, and especially hunters, I don't know if there's brutes in this book, I can't remember, but especially when hunters are in the book, it really feels threatening and it really feels like this unstoppable alien is coming for soldiers, and you really are scared. Even though sometimes they're Spartans, it really makes you worry for them because it's just written in such a unique and cool way. But the main thing I want to say about this book is the action.
Contact!
I was expecting this book to have more action than it did, just based on the games, because the games are basically, you pick up a weapon, you start shooting, you never stop. This book specifically really, it has a lot of action, but it uses it in a way where you have lots of moments to breathe in the middle, so that when the action does happen, it feels more intense. And it's not the kind of unstoppable Spartan mowing down hundreds of people like I was expecting. In some ways, Master Chief himself is more stronger and lethal in this book than the games, but it writes it in such a way that you're still scared and there's still tension. It's not like he's just gonna automatically win. It really makes you question, and also because of how it goes into the psychology with his character, it really plays up that aspect too. So I just think the action was handled in a really cool way, and again, I just don't think this book is appreciated as much as it should be. So all in all, I just wanted to do a video about why I think this book is really cool. Honestly, if there's one book that I could recommend to everyone on BookTube and just get everyone to read, it would be Nightmare. But if there's a book that I didn't write that I could recommend for everybody to read, then it would be Halo: The Fall of Reach. I really think this book deserves to be in more top 10 sci-fis. It's honestly probably my favorite sci-fi I've read. To be fair, I don't read a lot of sci-fi, but what I have, I think this has been about the best. I really like the games. I think if you've played the games, this book will make the games better. If you haven't played the games, you can still really enjoy reading this book, and honestly, just think if you try it, you'll have a great time with it.
Blue team, Fallout.
So that's all I got for you today, guys. Let me know in the comments if you've read The Fall of Reach, or if there's some other sci-fi book that you also think enough people don't talk about, and I'll be sure to check it out. So I'll see you next week.